What's up, guys? It's Southern Savage, and today we're going to be making a knife. Now, I don't know what kind of knife we're going to make, but I got this scrap piece of lawnmower blade. Typically, stuff like this will have pretty high carbon in it, so that's what we're looking for in a knife. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stick this in the forge I got. Now, this forge, it's just an old metal bucket, and I poured concrete in the middle of it and hollowed the middle out so there can be airflow. And then what I'm going to do is take an old fan, like a window fan, and I'm going to stick it in front of it so it has good air on it. What it needs to get hot enough is a lot of oxygen. So as long as you're giving it plenty of air, that fire will get plenty hot enough without coal or charcoal or anything. I've just got wood on it, and that works fine. We need to get it up to about 1500 degrees or so to be able to flatten this sucker out. So as you can see, it's pretty tore up, but I finally got a little anvil, and I've just been doing stuff like this on the ground or on wood. So I got this little 15-pound anvil, and I stuck it on some railroad tie underneath. I don't know if you can see, but that's what I'm going to flatten it out on. And you don't really need a big hammer to do this, but I got a pretty solid one. I don't know where it's at. It's right here. So you don't need a big hammer, but this one's pretty hefty. I don't even know what kind of hammer it is, but it works. So that's all you need. So once I get the forge going a little hotter, I'll show you guys the next step. So as you can see, the blade isn't very big, so it doesn't leave me a whole lot of options for a knife. So I don't really want these in there. Certain knives, it doesn't matter to me really, but for this knife, I want it to just be without holes. So I'm going to probably do a bushcraft knife or a skinning knife or something like that, something really small. So that's what we're going to have to try to do. I'm leaning more towards a skinning knife. I think that's what we'll do. Alright, so we got the forge going. Got just a little fan going on it, hooked up and everything. So first thing you need to do is load the sucker up with wood to have plenty of fuel in order to get it really, really hot. And so I just got a brick back here, and I'm going to just stick the knife like right up against that brick. So this brick keeps in a lot of heat. So if you have a brick or a rock or something, just throw it in front and just tuck your knife in by it, and it'll get really, really, really hot. Alright, so the forge is getting pretty hot. We're going to go ahead and just stick this in there. I don't really know what these are. They're just fence pliers or something. Doesn't really matter. Helps to wear gloves because it gets really hot in there. So let's go ahead and stick it anywhere that looks really, really warm. It's looking like that's going to have to work for now. And now we're just going to stack it up with wood. We'll come back in about 5 minutes, see how it's doing. Alright, so it looks like it's coming along pretty good. It's starting to get pretty hot. I had to move the fan closer because on windy days sometimes it's harder to get good airflow in there because there's wind blowing around from all different directions. But I got it a little closer. Don't get it too close or you can melt the fan. But looks like she's coming along. Looks like it's starting to get a little cherry colored. Alright, so you can't see it, but it's glowing in the shade. You can't see it in the sun a lot of times, but it's still super, super hot. We're going to see how far we can flatten it out. Alright, so yeah, that's flattening out pretty good. Alright, so we got the end part pretty flat, as you can see. We're going to go ahead and stick it back in and do it again a couple times until we get as much of the blade as flat as we can. So yeah. Alright guys, so we got our piece relatively flat, as you can tell. So, next step is we're going to take a angle grinder. We're just going to cut it off right before that first hole there. And then we're going to figure out what shape we're going to take the blade in. So yeah, let's get it. Alright guys, so I found a design online that I liked pretty well. So I just took a Sharpie, just did a rough sketch of it, and now we are going to take the angle grinder and just cut it out. So it's not super hard, you just got to be careful because it's easy to cut yourself. I've cut myself many times with the angle grinder and it's not fun. So wear some sort of a mask, respirator, something like that. Wear gloves, wear safety glasses, take precautions, and be safe. Alright, so I cut out the rough shape of it. Right now it looks pretty trashy, and there's spots that I hit that I wasn't supposed to, like right there I went in a little too deep. But it's alright. We will still get it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this over to our bench grinder and just sort of get it closer to the profile that I'm looking for. Then we'll take it back to the angle grinder once we got that, and we're going to do our plunge line. So right there we're just going to cut a straight line, and that's where the bevel will start. Alright guys, so I made a few changes. I decided not to do the handle the way I had it drawn out. Decided to make it a little bigger, a little bit longer. Fits in the hand a little bit better that way. So other than that, cut it out the way I had it. So now we're going to move on to putting an edge on this and then grinding down all of this rough crap and all that rust looking stuff. We're going to grind it down where it's silver looking. Then we're going to go ahead and put the plunge line on with the angle grinder. Then we'll work on our bevel, which I'm going to do the bevel by hand with a file. So I'm going to get to it. Alright, so been trying to work on the bevel a little bit with the file. It's been pretty tough, but I'm getting there. I'm going to go ahead and take out all these little dark spots from me forging, and I'm going to make the whole thing silver. Then we're going to sand it down and make it sort of mirrored looking, if we can. And then I reckon we'll try to quench it. Alright, so I decided maybe I'm going to keep some of them. I like kind of the forged look for some of the knives, but I was thinking about doing just a regular plain looking knife on this. Then again, I decided I like it. I'm going to keep them that way. So we're going to go ahead and forge up the we're going to get the forge going. We're going to quench the knife. That is one of the steps in the hardening process. So we're just using plain old canola oil. It was like $2 maybe for a big old bottle, and you can reuse the stuff. I normally, when I'm done, I pour it back in the bottle. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I do it and it works. So we're going to get the knife glowing hot, and we're going to dunk it in there and let it cool down. And then we're going to temper the knife, which I will probably just put it in the oven for an hour at a time. I'll do 2 different cycles at 420 degrees probably. So that'll be tempering for the knife. So the blade's getting pretty close to being ready. What we're going to do first is, I got a nail sitting in there. We're going to take the nail out, we're going to put it in so the oil will be hot. We want it to be between 120 and 160 degrees so that it will not crack the blade. I've had blades cracked from quenching if it's not heated right. So got to make sure and have it good and hot before we put it in the oil. One thing I forgot to do that was really important on this was, before I go ahead and start hardening it, is to drill the pinholes for the handle. So it's not totally tempered right now, so it's not super hard steel, but it might be a little hard trying to drill through. So the next step I'm going to do is go over and get my drill and go ahead and put some holes in it. Got one hole drilled and the other started a little bit and the drill started dying. So I'm going to go over, get a battery, and then we will finish drilling out that hole. Then we will finish heat treating the blade. So I got my holes drilled, and now I've got the knife buried under all this stuff. I'm going to leave this under here for about an hour. Then I'm going to come get it out, let it cool down, and then I'm going to put it in for probably another half hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So that will be all of the tempering that we're going to do to this knife. So by then it should hold a very good edge. Right now it's kind of soft, and I did a file test on it, which is where I tried to see if the file sort of bit the metal instead of just slating over it, and it did bite it pretty good. So by the time we're done tempering this, it should just slate over the metal instead of biting into it and tearing it up. Alright guys, so I got the knife out of the vinegar. I went ahead and scrubbed it pretty good. Then I sanded it from really heavy sandpaper to really light grit sandpaper. So it gave it sort of a cool mirrored finish, but you can still see from where I forged it, which is kind of cool. So I was thinking for the handle, I'm going to take some black paracord, just wrap it. Ought to be pretty simple, should look pretty cool. And then I'll put a final edge on it, sharpen it, and it'll be done. Alright, so I went ahead and did my paracord handle on there. I just wrapped it on. I didn't do any braid or anything, any intricate thing on here. Just went ahead and tied a knot at the end. Yeah, it's a pretty simple knife. It's almost like a karambit, but I don't know. It's kind of primitive looking, mixed with tactical. I like how it turned out, especially being out of a lawnmower blade. It turned out pretty good. It's super, super sharp. Like, I can shave with it. It's so sharp. But I'm going to see if I can sell this sucker and get some money out of it. I might make a Kydex sheath with it. If I do, I'll do a video of that too. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys can make something cool with what I showed you. God bless.